My name is Damali Sali and I welcome you to this episode of the Ideation Corner. The Ideation Corner is a space where ideas are discussed and dissected. And today I host Esther Kalenzi, who is a social entrepreneur and the founder of 40 Days Over 40 Smiles. And she's here to tell us all about it. Esther, you're very welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us about 40 Days Over 40 Smiles.
Where does one begin? So just the mouthful of a name, 40
days over 40 smiles.
The origin is the Lent season. So it was basically 40 days, the 40 days before Easter.
Oh, that time when the fasting.
Yes. And then we were hoping to create over 40 smiles. So you see, not rocket science. We just picked the simplest thing. Yeah. So the idea then, which was actually 10 years ago this year, in 2012.
10 years, you've been at it for a decade.
Yes. Even I don't believe it, it's surreal. So yes, the idea was just to get my friends and their friends to come together and collect toys, clothes, beddings, and as many things as possible to give underprivileged children. I didn't know where to find them, but I knew they were there because they are there. And the idea was that for those 40 days, maybe you save up and don't have a Java's lunch, you just buy from Mama Gundi next door, and then the money that you save is the one that you then contribute, which you could use to support these children. So the days went by slowly. I had opened a Facebook group, and unfortunately we like last minute things, so
so you just get things in until
nothing. I just like it, this is amazing. Oh, I always knew you'd do something like this. Good, great stuff. I'm like, okay, but how about
the cash?
Yes, remember what we're doing here. So anyway, in the final 2 weeks it was just crazy. My phone was blowing up. At that time I had a full-time job, so I hadn't even thought about how are we receiving the things. So people are bringing a mattress to like office. How do you explain to your
like,
boss?
Esther, you needed something.
So
I have
what's
a mattress.
happened? Oh, I'm downstairs. So should I bring? Sorry. Let me come. So it was upstairs. I would come up and down, like collect stuff and try to figure ways to hide it under my desk.
Once your employer is looking at you like,
luckily nothing was said. Like everyone else knew there's something awkward going on. Luckily for me, I had a colleague who was actually setting up a bakery downstairs, and it was under construction. So she said use that. When she said that, I was just saved. What I would do is that I would collect the stuff, then at the end of the week I take it home. And then for some reason around that time I had gotten myself a mobile money account, and it came in handy because now people were making contributions. So at the end of the 40 days we were able to collect tons and tons of stuff and 3.1 million shillings. Then
and all you did was post something on Facebook.
And continue to like come and tell people. So along that time I had to figure out who are these children. Yes, this money is not mine. I'm not just going to disappear and just find pictures of random children and say these are the ones. So what I did was that I had seen a friend of mine post about an orphanage she had been to, and I contacted her and asked her for their details, and I took one lunch break to go and find them. So what happened is that when I got to that orphanage, it wasn't there was no fence. It was just a compound and then a house. And then I start to walk towards the house, and then these children come and just grab me and embrace me. Like,
they didn't even
what if I'm a kidnapper? What is happening? What's going on here? So they just held me and then said, oh, let's take you to mommy. It was so warm. And as cliche as it sounds, I just felt like I belonged there.
Just like that.
Yes, in that moment I was like, this is the one, first of all, these are the beneficiaries, but then like I want to do more. What more can I do? So we went in, I spoke to the lady, she told me they had over 90 children who are
What's the name of this orphanage?
God's Grace.
God's Grace, okay.
Yes, it was called God's Grace. Yes. So we got there and there were so many children. She said there were 90 children. Imagine a 3-bedroomed house. They were struggling with everything from food to, just the bare minimum. And I didn't want to make promises. So I was just like, what are you doing for Easter? Like, oh, we have no plans. I'm like, you keep it open. I might be back. With or without a friend, which may or may not happen. Just don't
commit.
Yes, because I was like, I cannot disappoint these people. They have been disappointed enough in life. I'm not going to be another person to add to this. Yes. So what happened was now I had a face. I go and tell them, guys, this is in Chebando. These are the children. This is what they need. I even got a list of the things they need. And it gave credibility, and now people are like, oh, I would like to come.
You're not just collecting random things.
Exactly. So, and again, because this was just a spur of the moment idea, I hadn't thought about so many things, and that's like my life. Like, oh, I want to do something. Let's do it. Yes.
And then you figure out things as you go along.
Yes. So we ended up coming and sharing this information. People started to be excited. Along the way, another friend of mine said, oh, my church goes to this children's home in Natete. It's called Make the Children Smile. Your thing is called 40 Days Over 40 Smiles. Do you see fit? You see, like, this was meant to be. Yes. And I was like, bring. I didn't even think about the amount of work. I hadn't asked anyone to like help me.
So you're doing all this as you're doing your full-time job?
Yes, as I'm doing my full-time job and like barely sleeping, always on the road, using lunch hours to run to these places, but like it has to be done.
Yes.
So anyway, that Easter weekend finally came, and what we did was we did God's Grace on Good Friday, and then on Saturday we did the Make the Children Smile.
Okay.
And in both days we had between 33 to 35 people who came along with me. And what happened? Some did double, some did Friday and said we are coming back. Others did either day that they were comfortable with. But the most amazing thing for me was that all these people didn't necessarily know each other, they knew me. So I was the person who brought them together. And I had friends from primary up till my current job. Like the different parts of my life were brought together, which was really heartwarming for me. And I think when we got there, because we were just a couple of years out of university, most of us, the ones who were my age, but some were older and some younger. And until that moment, like, we had all been taken care of by people. We had never taken care of someone else. We were beneficiaries of love, whether it's from our parents, our guardians, or whoever had taken care of us. Yeah. So that moment was just a lot of reflection.
Yeah, like we were really privileged.
Yes.
Look at these guys.
Look at these children and what can we do for them? And when we got to that first orphanage and just got, because we coupled, we got a meeting point. Just take 6 strangers,
sit together.
We'll figure it out. And they became friends, people who became closer than even I was with them, which was great. So it was just a beautiful thing. But when we got to this, the first one, we got out of the coasters, and these children, just as they had embraced me,
they just came and
now they embraced everyone. And like, could just see people melting. So I have a very vivid image of that, and like 90% of everyone was in tears. Yeah.
Who had go there and then
even the ones who weren't crying were just holding it in, like
you're like, no, I'm not crying, it's just my eyes.
Like, just no, not going to cry. Oh, the sweat, it's hot in here.
It's so hot.
Yeah. So I think for everyone in that moment, they were thinking whatever they were thinking. Oh, I went through this and I want to like give this love to someone. Yeah. Or how lucky and privileged I am that I had people. Or, you know, this is a moment when I can actually do something. Yeah. So yes, after that Easter weekend, basically what I did was... And
you gave her all the food, all the money, everything. We
got a chef to do a nice meal for both days so that they could have like something exciting. And then the rest of the money was used to buy maize flour and beans and like groceries. And then we took all the clothes and toys and things that we had collected. It was beautiful. I like I was reeling from all the joy and like the emotions, and so many people sent back feedback and said, I've never done anything like this. Thank you for making me be a part of this. What more can we do?
They're not asking for what more.
Yes, and that's what I had been thinking. So I'm like, finally, I'm not doing this alone. Okay. So
at what point did you start thinking that this is not now a one-off, just the Easter, I may take it forward?
Around the Easter, but it was just like, this is too much work, I cannot, you know, like, oh, thanks,
I'm busy.
I'm hearing a voice in my head, but let's ignore that voice for now, yeah? Okay. What I was thinking at the time was maybe we can do Christmas and Easter, but then I was saying, what of the other 363 days, like, what's happening? So I just... After that Easter, I was just like, you know what? Let's figure out what we can do. So I sent a message to everyone that had come, and I said, we have a meeting on Thursday. Everyone who came for that meeting became 40-40. Like, that was the team. Yeah. There was no, CEO, General Secretary, I don't know finance.
There was no structure? Just
no. It was just, you're available? Okay, you go and do this. And yeah, that's how the story of 40-40 began.
That's amazing. I like that you were thinking of others anyway. Yeah. And then you collated all the rest of the people around you to actually help. Yeah. So how did you come from now just the Easter to making it a thing? Because it's now an organization, right?
Yes, it is.
So how did you make that jump? Which an organization that you're running and you had a full-time job.
Yes.
Which then you had to leave.
Yes.
Walk me through that.
So when we met, we just started to basically brainstorm, because I had never run anything like this. I had done like small things, let's raise money for someone, but that was my only experience. And so I asked people what they thought. They were like, okay, we can continue to fundraise. Luckily for us, we had done this thing and it had worked. I mean, just as not a stranger, because some people are giving because they're friends, but the people contributed whom I didn't know. So
we just saw it on Facebook and contributed.
Yes, so I'm like, we have some sort of credibility. Immediately after that Easter, we accounted for everything that we had received. So it's not like we are trying to, you know, fleece anyone. So we sat together and started to think, what more can we do? We said, let us first work with that first orphanage that we had worked with, because they had few people who are supporting them. So we started to say, okay, maybe we can do stationery for kids when they're going back to school. Let's continue to do meals every month and things like that as we figure out the next steps. So we did that for a while. And our supporters have been so, like, I can't even put it to words. Like, without them, would have closed a long while ago. You just come and say, let me ask for this ridiculous thing. And they're like, oh, okay, here it is. Then you're like, okay, now I have to dream bigger. I have no choice. So yeah, that's what happened. And people continued to give for those things that we were doing. But then we felt like this is not enough. We'd pay for a surgery here and there. We'd buy stationery. We'd do things. But then what happens after? Like, what's next? So we sat down and started to think more, like, what was the one thing that we thought had brought us together, that had made us who we are? And we all agreed that was a good education. Good is subjective, but we were all at least university graduates, and either were actually, in that moment, we were either looking for a job or we had a job. But that is something like not so many Ugandans have, yeah. So just the training, the ability to even apply and say, oh, I studied procurement, or I studied business, like, not many people had that. So we said, okay, so we're lucky, we've been educated, these children are going to school, how can we support them? And we agreed that a lot of the reason why we were who we were is because we were able to read, we were able to write, we could articulate ourselves. So even if you are not necessarily in a formal job, even if you are still, even if you're doing something that's just, you're making furniture, you need to talk to a client and to market yourself, whatever it is. So we're like, we want these children to have that. We want them to be able to have someone in their corner telling them, I'm proud of you. We want them to see a musician who is successful, a border guy who's telling them their story, a doctor, so that they can choose any of these and dream accordingly. And even if they don't really get to that level, at least their childhood will be fulfilling. So we started slowly thinking about literacy and like getting things running, but it wasn't a fully formed idea. So in 2014, we were approached, no, actually 2013, we were approached by this lady who came to that orphanage and told us, oh, I have a school, you should come check it out, it's in Luwero. We said, fine. So we go to Luwero. It was still very small. They were also going through the same challenges where it's a small building, but they are toddlers, they are teenagers. It's just unsafe on all counts.
It's overcrowded.
Yes. Okay. And we're like, so what's the one thing that you need support with? And they're like, oh, it would really be nice if we could extend the structure and get ourselves a dormitory. Now, just out of curiosity, just like, so how much would a thing like that cost? I'm not saying I won't do anything about it, but you just tell me. So she said, oh, funny, you should ask. She brings the budget. The budget was 28 million shillings. Remember, we were 1 year in. The most we had raised maybe would be like 3-5 million. And someone is saying 28, and you're like, okay. Nervous laugh. Yes.
Did you wonder why you asked?
Yeah, like, why? You and your big mouth, Esther. So what happened was we told her, okay, let's do what we can. Like, you raise your side, we'll also raise this side and do what we can. But you find someone with zero and you're like, you go and raise, like, what are you doing? But it was very good motivation, because we now had a goal, we knew what it was going to, we had done due diligence, now we were wiser. Okay, now you and yeah, so that's what we did. We said, okay, let's have a fundraiser and start. So the first fundraiser we did was
and now you were fundraising for this particular school.
Yes. So it came up with an event called Croak and Rhyme. Croak, like frogs croak. So we're like, anyone, whether you can sing, this is not for just, you know, musicians.
Yes. Anyone. If you can croak.
If you can croak, please come, because all of our dreams are valid. Just because we are not Whitney Houston, that mean we can't sing. And then rhyming was for poetry. So if you wanted to like split some word game, you are welcome. We did it at Sheraton. And what happened was, like, we were blown away. We advertised it online. We thought few people were going to come. We got a few chairs. We had got the venue for a bargain because we came and said, oh, CSR, we are trying to. They were like, yeah, have Lions Bar. Like, you do your thing. Probably that weekend wasn't even going to be busy.
Yes.
We're like, no, we'll do what we can. We didn't really have like big names. It was just people coming together. What? We reached a point when you literally, like, either you tell people to go back or you let them stand.
Wow.
Like, it was filled to capacity. Guys were not even, you know how you go to an event and you're expecting VIP treatment? No, people are there for a good cause.
Yes.
If I'm standing, fine.
You stand, yeah.
If a waiter takes long to bring my drink, it's okay. So even they had really undermined us, but even we had. And I'm like, you expect like 50 people. You never know. We had over 200 excited people, and we ended up raising 5 million shillings that night.
In that one night?
Yes, just like 4 hours. This was great motivation. We're like,
we can do this. Wait a minute, we can do this.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, you'll be having this 5 million.
Yeah.
And start there. Lay a foundation, we'll be back. Anyway, after that, we did an online campaign, which we called Buy a Brick. Twitter was starting to gain ground in Uganda. We had been a lot on Facebook, so we're like, okay, let's also use the Twitter crowd. We did a hashtag called Buy a Brick. And we said a brick is 500 shillings. Of course, it was less than that, but it was like a round figure. Couldn't ask for 150. And then, yes,
yeah, how do I
going to send that? To cost me more to send you 150.
Yes.
But of course, people are sending like 50 bricks or 100 bricks.
Yes.
And the amazing thing that happened was that in 8 days, we were able to raise 10 million shillings just online. Like, you're literally sitting on your phone. A group of people are tweeting from wherever they are, their jobs, their homes. It really, like, it was it was heartwarming, but then it also showed just the power of crowdfunding. And it also taught us that people are literally dying to do this. We were just the bridge, and we were happy to be that bridge.
And somehow you have built the credibility, because sometimes I see those drives online, but I'm like, but I don't know them. I don't know if they'll just steal my money, because there are people who do that. Yeah. So you have built some credibility. Yes,
we had built credibility, and even without knowing it, like each time we got money, we'd come and say, thank you, Damali, for your 20,000 shillings.
This is what it's done.
Thank you, if you don't want to be mentioned, say a good Samaritan or a kind person has, donated this, and the collection is this, and this is what it's going to do. So we were being accountable because that's what you do. It wasn't because, oh, let us first, get into their hearts and
then hit them.
Yes. And yeah, so that was really exciting. We were able to do that, and then we were like, we are going to finish this building.
So now you committed.
So
you tell that, okay, we are going to do this.
Like, watch this space. You just like be checking your account, refresh your account balance. It's coming. At the end of the day, we were able to raise the 28 million. We set up a dormitory that houses up to 210 children. At Happy Times in Luwero. It was very like we got a bus full of people and went.
And you went to visit.
And we were like, let's construct this thing. So of course we are not professionals. There were actual builders there, but we carried, sand and all of these things. And it was like just a reminder of like young people can do this thing. And we are not millionaires. We don't have any political intentions. We've seen a need in our community, and
want to help.
We are willing to help. So that really began our like belief that this can happen and this can be more. And it was a few months later, in September of 2013, when I realized that I was now cheating my employer.
You were spending more time on yours?
Yes, I would be sending reports at midnight because I've worked by day trying to raise money and trying to get people to come together. And it wasn't sustainable.
So you're just breaking the deadline.
Yes, and also not giving and I'm getting a salary at the end of the month. So I had to have the hard conversation with him. And when I did, he was like, it was a matter of time. Like, I was waiting for you finally.
Like, he knew you were coming.
Yes, like I gave you time to like come to the realization on your own, and now you have.
To accept
which was also really good for me. Like, it wasn't, so you're leaving us after all we've done for you. No, it came from a place, this is your passion. Go and see what it can do.
I'm glad you've realized it.
Yes. And it was extremely scary. I did it without telling anyone, because I knew if I started to tell them, they would talk me out of it. Parents,
like, I'm leaving a job to go do this thing, which I'm not so sure about. Like,
I came after a resignation is complete. After having a conversation with him, I'm just like, so end of this month. He's like, fine. Came. You sent the resignation, and then I came and I'm like, I've quit my job. What? First of all, you're insane. Let's begin there. But also, why? What? When? Where? Like all the questions. I didn't have answers for them. It was one of those things where it was time. And this is what I wanted to do.
Knew.
And the thing is, so what if it didn't work out?
At least you pursued it.
You pursued it. So if anyone asks, man, guys, for us we did this, and then it didn't work out. So I'm back to the job hunt like everyone else, and you know. Luckily for us, I am still sticking here.
A whole decade later.
And along the way is when we like now started to get into, okay, we've put up a structure. We did put up 2 structures. Actually, we set up 2 dormitories. Another place heard about us and also said, guys, we're on that same road.
Okay, it's a different school, but on the same.
Yes, it's called Elohim. It's in Bombo Road.
Okay.
And we also saw their story, and we were like, these are people who we can work with. They had been vouched for. They were looking to have a girls' dormitory because they are just next to the barracks, and it was a bit unsafe for them. They also wanted a fence. Yes. So we put a girls' dormitory and put up a fence. We are like, now are we in the business of building?
Okay, yeah, you're constructing now. You're constructing school
Look at us. Yeah, you know. So do we get into real estate? What is this? Yes. So what happened after that was that we then now started to think critically about literacy and reading and books.
You still stuck to the literacy?
Yes, we don't have many libraries. A lot of us have. Yeah, we went through good school. I can't tell you like the whole of my primary. I didn't enter a library. Like, where are the public libraries? There's one in Muganda Road, but okay, if I am in Luwero, how do I access it? If I'm in, you know? So around that time, NSSF was running a competition, regional. It was regional and also countrywide. So you just had to apply and like sell your idea and they would fund it. They were getting winners, I think, from 4 parts, and then there's an overall winner. Okay. Like 10 million and then 20 million for the overall winner. So anyway, we pitched to set up a community library. And still, because of the relationship we had gotten with the people in Luwero, we're like, we can put it here because it's at the center, different children can access it. They also have several children who are able to access this. So yeah, we applied. We had really applied for so many things. We didn't think we would get in. Just like just
another one.
KPIs.
At least we know
10 applications in the first quarter. Fine. So yes, we applied, and then we were selected amongst the could-be winners. So we were invited for a dinner at Serena. We got there. Still like, are we really? And I remember vividly Central, Kampala. We are in Central. They announced a Central winner. And we were there. First of all, I think they had given us like 2 tickets, and I was like, no, I'm going with everyone who worked on this proposal. This is not about, if you can't give us 5,
we're not coming.
It's 0. It's this or nothing.
Like we need to attend.
Yes, you probably people who have cancelled. Don't you have like some extra? Anyway, we knew a guy who knew a guy, and they hooked us up. Yes, they hooked us up. So we all went, you know, dressed up, happy. It was even a weekday, I think. So you've left work. If you don't succeed tomorrow, how am I going to be at my desk in office tomorrow? So anyway, when they announced the Central, we hadn't yet eaten. I think dinner was at the end. I told my team, let us sneak out quietly. I will buy you food.
Like, we're not going to stay here.
We're not going to be here and be embarrassed. After all that we put in, we've been down. Meanwhile, I think there was a band. We were the loudest, screaming to every song. Then you're the losers. What is this? No.
Let's sneak out.
No. As like one by one, let us start going out. And then something weird happened. We started to notice the cameras coming around our table.
Near your table.
Like, but how are we going to live when lights, camera, action? Guys, what's happening?
You're going to be still living.
Yes. And it was that moment that they said the actual overall winner was 40-40.
Wow.
But I woke.
Were you like, is it me?
Nervous. I'm shaking. I'm just like, guys, what are we supposed to do? They're pulling me and trying to talk me down because I get a lot of anxiety. Even before this, I was just like, oh my God, camera, why me? Why? So anyway, it was really exciting and unbelievable.
That you won the overall.
And we won the overall. The same people who
1 minute you thought they lost.
Sneaking out like, so who's going to get a car? And then we shall drop you. Yeah, so that was really also like just affirmation that you're on the right path.
You're doing the right thing.
And we didn't know anyone there, like
you legit
we've
want it.
earned this on our own, and it's not because of like
someone who knows someone who
it's just like really hard work and persistence, and it had gotten us there. And I was just so happy to enjoy this moment with my people who had been there, because volunteering,
I know it's hard.
That's like 18 other interviews. Cannot be done here today. Yes.
So we have just 5 minutes left to go. I know it's very short, but tell me about the current things you're doing now. Having gone through your journey, the key things, the current things.
Yeah.
More about what 4040 is doing at the moment.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So we started a program that's called Angaza, which we derived from the word shine in Swahili, and basically we wanted.
I was just about to ask, what does that mean?
Yes. Okay. We wanted our children to shine.
Okay.
So we have volunteers who go to primary schools in slum areas, specifically Chikuba Mutwe right now, with the hope of expansion.
Where is Chikuba Mutwe?
Around Kibuli area. Yes. And what we do is that we have these volunteers go every Friday and just have 2 to 3 hours with the children. So it's a lot of activities. There's reading, there's writing. We have competitions where we have like spelling bees, but we also developed a toolkit, which is basically to like, who is the future 4040 member? Like how is this going to stay?
Yes.
So it has 3 components. One is self-awareness, one is resourcefulness, and one is community agency. We want these children to know who they are, to understand that regardless of their background, they can do absolutely anything, and also that they have the support of community. But what can you do with what you have? Because the 4040 story is basically using the very least to do what we could. And also, we go around using the word change agents, but what does that really mean? I want someone who will just look and say, this rubbish shouldn't be here.
Yes.
I did throw it, but
it shouldn't
for my community to be clean, it takes me and then the next person and then the next person. So we want to instill all of these values.
Inside that place.
Yes. So it's these same children. At the end of the day, there's a project to actually now, like after every component of it, we have like a project to just show what have you learned and what can we do. And also this was already our plan, but then we didn't have enough money for it. But now the pandemic has really made it even like more necessary. We want to set up different resource centers in different areas, which are just places that children can access books, can access learning.
You're talking about libraries inside these locations?
Yes. Yes. But not just for books, but for skilling. For a school which doesn't have a math textbook to be able to come and borrow this math textbook, and 10 other schools can borrow it, because none of the schools we've encountered have libraries or even a shelf for a library. Like that's a luxury in itself. So they'll be able to get these books just to read for fun, but also the textbooks.
And they're shareable.
Exactly. So you can come borrow. Then we find a way to like link up these schools with also like now middle class schools, so that each of them can learn from the other. Computers, they can learn something from computers. Damali, what are you good at? Are you a guitarist? Come and teach guitar. Who is a baker? You can come, and then they get some skills out of that. So that even if they drop out of school,
they still have a skill.
Yes, because for 2 years, the children we support, they did not study a thing because they have no access to what Zoom. What is Zoom?
No, what is it?
You're lucky if there's a smartphone in my house, So they lost a lot. Over 30% of learners didn't go back to school. That is like a huge number. Yes. So we also see our children not coming back. Teachers for more lucrative jobs, and it's understandable. So we want to be able to empower the children and the teachers, whether or not they finish primary school or within primary school. So it will be for children who are in school and those who have dropped out.
As long as they're in that location?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a new initiative?
Yeah, we've been raising money for a while. Hopefully we can set it up this year, and depending on how it works, then we can set up others in different places, because every child needs this.
They desire,
and the ones who are underprivileged have even less luxury to access all of these resources. So this skilling, the resource center, I would say, will it also be teaching like vocational skills? So the idea is to have not really classroom, but classroom support, because already they are going to school, but now there's more reading. How do you speak, to a crowd, like
the soft skills as well.
Yes, soft skills as well, and then also for them to be able to get skills at their level. We're not going to come and give you a heavy machine, but we can partner with someone who is already doing something within this to give them the skills that they need.
Okay. So Esther, thank you so much. We literally ran out of time. You had a kalango to do, which you haven't done. Can you do it like in 30 seconds?
Yes. I can.
You can see the camera.
So, Five-A-Side UG is back, and we are going to be at Old Kampala SS this time round. It's going to be on 2nd of July. Create your teams, come and have a good time. It's just 10K entrance, and as you all know, we are trying to raise money for that. Children need you, and with your support, we can do so much more.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. Please listen to the Kalango and be responsive to it. Thank you.